Hello and welcome to How DRM Would, the monthly show where I tell you how I would do things. Today, how DRM would plan out a DC movie universe. I know, kinda wild. I'm finally doing our March one, like 2 days before March ends. Alright, I don't need to hear you guys judge me. I recorded this on March 30th. I haven't got to edit it until the 4th of April, and hopefully by the 5th it's out, but you guys know I suck at editing, so don't judge me. This one was another hard one. It was a big universe, DC movie universe, same thing with the Bat Family. It was fucking massive. The next one I got hopefully shouldn't be as bad, but it's still gonna be a lot, but it won't be this. But yes, we are doing a DC movie franchise. Hold on, I gotta adjust my mic. Sorry about the loudness. Get back down to my notes. But yes, DC movie universe. DCMU. Just saying that's what I would call it. Just so it's not the DC... DC... The DCEU? DCEU? I don't know, DCMU. That's just what my version's called. The DRM Cinematic Movie Universe. So, we're doing this off the premise of they're creating the Bat Family movie franchise, while at the same time, this DC one's coming out. There are two different Batman. I know, wild. You're gonna have on one side the Bat Family guy. He's gonna get all the actual Batman movies. This Batman, I don't want him to have a solo movie. If he's in a movie, he just is going to be part of another character's movies, and you'll see who's I'm talking about. But just don't oversaturate it with Batman. So he's not going to have his own movies. He's going to be part of this universe, and that's his whole thing. But we're going to say there's like lore outside of him having other people. Light again. I want to scream. There we go. But yeah, he's going to have his own little bunch of people. Sorry. And we're not going to see it because, again, we don't want to oversaturate. Take a drink. So, before we start this, there are some things we're keeping. Oh, it's so good. There are 3 things we're keeping. Those are Man of Steel, Shazam, and Shazam 2. I know people don't like Shazam 2. Actually, you know what? Change that right now. Shazam 2 don't exist. We keep Man of Steel and Shazam. Only 2 movies from previous DC that we're keeping. Saying are part of this, right? And we come out of the gate big with Green Lantern. I know. They are scared to do Green Lantern because last time they did it, it ended up just becoming a joke in a Deadpool movie because of how god-awful it was. And I've seen the movie. I think it is overrated. And I mean it is hated too much because it's not that bad. I've seen much worse. But it's just hated on so bad because it's just everyone wanted this to be good because Ryan Reynolds was in it. I get it. Personally. I do. I get it, but let's bring back the Green Lantern. Let's get him into this universe. Just so when we start this universe out, we can start it by saying, this isn't the previous universe you had. Here's the Green Lantern. Who is he fighting in this movie? Solomon Grundy, the giant undead zombie violent man with a knife. So basically, a lot of my tidbits about the movies are a lot less because they're a lot easier. This movie, it's obviously a Hal Jordan origin story, but I want to make it more of like a buddy cop vibe, right? Where it's more like buddy cop. He's out there saving people, becomes the Green Lantern, trying to figure out how to work through it while also working through a day job. And Solomon Grundy's there. He's having to fight Solomon Grundy, realizing how his powers work, overcoming Solomon Grundy and destroying him. And in this movie, he is taken in not by regular police, but by the regular police, who then say they're locking him in a special prison. That is all the mentions of that. End of the movie scene. Not after credits. Literally last movie scene. There's some noise outside. Howard goes outside of his apartment, and then he just looks up as a man with some blue legs and a red cape appear, and all he says is, "Well, hello there." Just because it's funny. Just because people will be like, "That's a meme!" Oh! Obviously, it's Superman. We'll get to him a little later. Obviously, I'm breaking the silence now. I'm saying it. In this universe, we are recasting everyone except Superman and Shazam. If we're keeping their movies, they are not recast. So we keep Henry Cavill and we keep hold on. Shazam. Oh God. Zachary Levi. Yeah, we're keeping Zachary Levi and Henry Cavill as these two big men of the universe. But Shazam's movie we are going to say is happening later, and I will tell you where. So, next movie is Wonder Woman. Yes, new Wonder Woman, new movie. Her villain is going to be named Dr. Poison. If you are a comics person, which once again, I said this in the Bat Family one, I'm not a comic person. I haven't read every comic. I'm going based off what I know about these characters. I'm sorry, but I think this is still compelling. So it's a Diana origin in her movie to America, right? She starts in Amazon, kind of experiencing everything there, and then decides to leave after like 25-30 minutes in the movie of everyone trying to be like, "No, Diana, we have a paradise here. Just stay here." And she just wants more and wants to see. And the elders kind of finally understand that this might not be permanent. Let her go see and let her make her own choices. When she gets there, she kind of learns that, oh, she's way more strong in everything than everyone else is. Obviously, she doesn't wear her normal Wonder Woman stuff. She shows up in it, realizes everyone thinks that she is someone on the, she shows up in Vegas. I just think that'd be fun. But she looks like someone who's just playing a character on on the Las Vegas Strip. And then she starts to realize people don't normally dress like this. Obviously has to go get normal clothes. Dr. Poison kind of shows up, starts causing havoc. She's like, what is going on? There's a mid-movie scene where Diana goes to a party invited by some older man. Goes to a party where she meets Henry Cavill! Clark Kent, yes. And you know that the fans would go nuts at Henry Cavill being this. And they kind of talk a little bit. Clark knowing who she is because he's Superman. He's not dumb. He knows who she is. Kind of talks to her and it's just kind of like, wow, it's kind of wild listening about Dr. Poison, kind of talking about his powers and everything. Obviously she overcomes him, puts on the suit, declares herself Wonder Woman, has a fight with just the lasso. She doesn't have the sword and shield yet. She will get those. She does not yet have them. It is just the lasso of truth, figures out how to beat him, boom, wins the fight, sends him off to again mention to our special prison. No one has asked any questions, but with this second mention, instantly people will be like, what do you mean special prison? Are they sending him to Blackgate? Arkham? Next movie, Man of Steel 2. Fans would lose their mind. They're like, yes, the villain, we're doing Lobo, baby. I've heard so many people talk about it and they've gotten me hyped. We're doing Lobo. So right, Superman is just out here being the Man of Steel. You know, saving some people, maybe stop some bank robbers, gets a cat out of a tree. Let's do a little bit of ham it up a little bit. And then Lobo shows up and Superman's just kind of like, who are you? And then gets jumped. Lobo, no hesitation, makes a joke and starts whooping Clark's ass. Who's then fighting back, confused on why he is just getting trashed. Most of this movie is Clark and him fighting. It is a lot of fights. And when he's not fighting him, he's kind of wondering, if this is his fault, if he sees the destruction around him, he sees buildings getting damaged, and he's like, am I good for this world? Is Superman helping or hurting people? You know, that existential crisis Superman has of, I'm the Man of Steel, but am I doing more harm than good? Right? There's a final fight where Clark gets Lobo and they're battling and gets him into space, gets him far enough away from Earth where he can let go. He doesn't have to worry about damaging property and hurting people. He can finally actually fight him because he's had to basically not fight him, but keep him from destroying everything around him. That's how all these fights have gone. So he gets him into space, and that's when they start going at it, and they are just beating 10 tons of daylight out of each other. They are beating each other. And Lobo has Superman on his back foot. Then he gets a call on his phone and stops. Superman, confused, is like, who's that? And Lobo just answers the call. What the fuck? Hangs it up. You're lucky. And Superman goes, excuse me? Lobo goes, you're lucky that my buyer backed out. So my deal's off to kill you. Which I would have done, by the way. And Superman's just like... And Lobo leaves. And he says, because now I gotta go kill the buyer and get my money. And then leaves. And then the final scene is Superman flying down over a mansion and then into the Batcave and landing. And he's saying, Bruce, I think it's time we talked. And then you just see the ears of the the Batman suit, and then it cuts, and people will be like, oh, Batman! Not getting a movie. We are going to say that in press conferences. This is not a Batman movie universe. You're not going to see Batman specifically in his own movies versus his own villains just by himself. It's not what we're doing. He's not a headliner in the movies or by himself in a movie, but he is going to be big a part of this because he is Batman. Next, we get Flash. I know there's the Flash coming out where he's doing Flash, but frick that. We're doing a new Flash, and that's why I didn't put it first. We then have 3 new movies of this universe before we do another Flash. 3 movies to kind of bridge the gap from the Flash we have now to the Flash we're going to get, right? Which should hopefully give us enough time. So Flash gets his powers working as a forensic scientist because he's smart, and he learns about his speed. Captical starts robbing banks, and he starts trying to get him, and then just can't beat him for some reason. Every time he gets into a room with him, he's just, for some reason, not fast enough. But he's so fast, nothing makes sense to him. And then he's hanging out, and he's like, I would say he rents, just because I think it's fun that he rents underneath his grandparents, and then he's just like laying down there, and then all of a sudden Batman and Superman arrive at his door, and he panics. Like, Batman in Batman suit, Superman in Superman suit. This is the first time we get to see our new Batman in their bat suit in the movie, and they kind of talk about Flash out joining a team, which Flash kind of goes, a team against what? And they kind of talk about how there's a lot of things out there, monsters that maybe just one of us can't take care of. And they said, us, just the 3 of us. And they go, no, believe me, there's more. And then right before they leave, Batman's just talking about, I heard you had a bank robber you're dealing with. And he goes, yeah, but I got it handled. And Batman goes, yeah, it's kind of wild. Sometimes you forget that cells move slower when they're cold. And then he leaves, and Flash goes, yeah, duh. Yeah. Duh! Realizing to beat him, the reason he's not fast enough is because of the cold, so he has to vibrate his body to make sure his cells can stay fast enough. Because he's not. He's just trying to run from cold. So if he vibrates his body, he'll be good. Able to beat Captain Cold. This time, when he goes to get him arrested, a special military force shows up in these weird white and black suits and like all look like SWAT teams. And they say, "We'll take it from here." Flash goes, "What do you mean? The police right here, they can take him." And they said, "This type of criminal cannot go in a regular jail cell. We're taking him to the block." And then the last shot is just a giant square box coming out of the ground. It's CGI, obviously, called The Box. A giant prison for some of the biggest supervillains on the planet are put there. The next movie is Justice League, the team-up movie. I know you're thinking, aren't we missing someone? Yes, and don't worry. The villain of this will start out as Gorilla Grodd, but I will tell you who the next villain is. And believe me, I get it. I have played Injustice, and I understand this. So Gorilla Grodd starts getting out of hand, trying to make an army to take over. A lot of the beginning is kind of understanding Gorilla Grodd. You see a couple people them attack a few places, and Grodd making speeches, getting his men ready for takeover. So Batman contacts Superman, comes down to the Batcave, and they have an argument about whether to bring the League in, and they call it the League. Superman says, "No, we need to be worried about intergalactic fights. We don't need to just get them together every time every time we want to have a little tea party." That's Batman's. Superman's is, we need to take every precaution to make sure people are safe. And Batman's like, we need to stay separate in our own cities to keep them safe. All of us in one spot for this small of a threat is not worth it. After the argument, Batman finally realizes he's not going to win, so he gives in. So they're going to get the League together. A montage of them calling Flash, Wonder Woman, and Green Lantern. They bring up Shazam, but both say he's not ready yet. He has done good, but he's not ready to be part of the group. Then there's a scene where they decide we need to go get him, and Batman goes, he's gonna say no, and Superman says he needs to say yes. So there's a scene of them going underwater to get Aquaman. He's not getting his own movie. I want to make it more interesting where it's not like each movie builds up to the big... Nah, he gets introduced in the Justice League movie. It's like a 2.5 hour movie. We are about 45 minutes in. They've called the rest of the league. Now they're going to go down to get Aquaman. He's the king. He's under there. He's like a grizzled veteran. I want the league to seem like you have the 3 rookies and the 3 vets coming together. You have the 3 rookies of the Flash, Green Lantern, and Wonder Woman. All have not been doing this that long. All fairly new at the superhero thing. And then I want a Batman who seems like he's been doing this for 6, 7, 8 years. He's fought all his regular villains. He understands heroing. The Man of Steel Superman who's been doing this for years. And an Aquaman who's been protecting Atlantis for years. Coming together as the League. But he won't join. He says this is not worth it for Atlantis. That is all I care about. Atlantis is my home. It is my kingdom. I will protect my people. So as long as you land dwellers stay out of Atlantis and get out of Atlantis, we will be fine. Batman and Superman say, we're not leaving until you come with us. And Aquaman goes, fine. And then we get Batman and Superman. Superman's holding back, obviously, versus Aquaman. Like a fight. Like a 10, 12 minute fight, them just attacking each other, and it's a shock, knocked into water, sharks coming after Batman after fighting off fish. It's nuts. And people are like, oh my god, Aquaman versus Batman and Superman. What is going on? They kind of get into like a stalemate, and Batman and Superman go, alright, fine, and leave. when they go back up, they kind of get the lead together and they find where Grodd is. They go to confront him, and it happens to be near water, and Aquaman arrives. And Superman says, "I thought you weren't joining," and Aquaman goes, "Grodd has proven himself dangerous to Atlantis, so I will help you defeat him." Now thinking about it, there probably should be a scene beforehand of some of Grodd's men, a bunch of them coming down and attacking Atlantis. Aquaman has to save them off, and like his assistant is like, "What are we gonna do about this? You should have taken them up on their deal." And he just looks at them. So they battle Grodd and their army and win. They beat Grodd. They get him down. Grodd, all of a sudden, they look at him and his eyes are purple. Swerve! Grodd's being controlled by Brainiac. I know it's like Injustice 2. Don't fucking say it. It's a good storyline, and I think it could be fun this way. I think you could turn it into a movie with movie versions of all these characters. I think it could be great. He talks about wanting to steal all of the learning on Earth and just destroy Earth. They, while on the ship, though, I think it'd be fun in the background is if you see a bunch of, like, a wall of, like, heads, right? Where it's all the characters, you just feeding weird aliens and stuff. One of them's Lobo. Just because people are going to be like, "Oh, so we're getting Lobo 2, getting another fight." No, Lobo was... And then you get to realize, oh no, Brainiac hired Lobo to go to Earth to see if it was worth it. And then called it off. And when Lobo went after Brainiac, he got killed. Just instantly making it like, oh shit, Lobo was whooping Superman's ass. We got a fucking problem. Then we get the huge war fight, giant warships and aliens and the League fighting them off. They finally get to the end and are able to defeat Brainiac because he self-destructs his ship because he doesn't want the learning to get out because it's only for him killing himself. He will not be going in the block. Obviously, the people show up saying, "Where's Brainiac?" They're like, "We don't have him. Here's Gorilla Grodd," and so Grodd's in it too. You're starting to see now. There's Solomon Grundy, Dr. Poison, Captain Cold, and Gorilla Grodd currently in the block, along with a bunch of like random prisoners. You know, people they just considered to be good enough to go in there. Wonder Woman 2's the next one versus the Cheetah. Diana's kind of shown how she's gotten her life back together after Brainiac, and it's just, you know, the Cheetah attacks. They fight. Wonder Woman kind of still giving that fun, like, learning about America and the customs and little thing, while also trying to fight the Cheetah, her most storied villain. They can kind of harp her back and show some scenes of them fighting back on Amazon and how jealousy drove her to leave before Diana and then turn herself into this. Next movie, Cyborg. Woo, baby! New member! So, the villain is going to be Deathstroke. I know, Batman villain, not a specifically Cyborg, but I'm going kind of like Teen Titans, more like Slade version, but Cyborg is a kid, 19, who hides his robotics from the world. Obviously, you have his dad, his family. He's already has the cybernetics. You don't have to have the incident, but we could show what happened. All of a sudden, you know, hiding out, goes out once and gets attacked by some mercenary. Like, he's a really strong fighter, and you get on the back foot, Cyborg just trying to survive and is able to barely get out with his life and disappear. Deathstroke deciding to let him go. He doesn't try to fight him because he doesn't want to hurt him. Obviously, after the first Deathstroke attack, he's kind of trying to figure everything out. We're like 45, 50 minutes in. Batman appears and comes up to him. And obviously he's like, "Oh my god, Batman!" And Batman starts grilling like, Why is Deathstroke after you? And he goes, What did you do? Why would someone call a hired mercenary after you? And he's like, "Dude, I don't know." And so then Cyborg's like, "I don't know, and I don't know how to beat him." And Batman's like, "I can." Cyborg's like, "Let me help." And Batman's like, "No, leave him to me." Batman goes to fight him. Cyborg sneaks. So we get Deathstroke versus Cyborg and Batman. And they finally beat him. And then at the end of the movie, we get It's kind of like a fun scene. This movie's more to introduce Cyborg, but we get like a fun scene with Deathstroke where in a dark the interrogation rooms, like in police stations, Deathstroke's sitting there. You can't see him really. You could tell he's there because you can see an outline of a human or of the Deathstroke suit. And Batman's grilling him. Why'd you attack him? What did that kid ever do? Who hired you to attack that kid? And Deathstroke just goes, you know who hired me. And he goes, answer the question. And Deathstroke says, he told me you'd come if I went after the kid. And Batman goes, who knew? And and he leans forward, and Deathstroke's mask has the giant Joker smile. And then throughout the police station, you hear the Joker laugh ring through, and Batman runs out, and then smash cut right into the after credits. It's something we'll never see. We'll never see why the Joker did it. We'll never get an explanation to that forever. It'll be things people will theorize about for years. They can write little movies and little stories about it. It'll be fantastic. But I think that's a really fun scene. Moving on to the next movie, The Flash 2, where we have Reverse Flash, right? Flash is that super happy-go-lucky superhero, and then all of a sudden another speedster starts showing up. He starts swearing he can see another person for a second, and they disappear. And he never can track them down, so he's starting to think he's going insane. But then at the same time, like, he keeps seeing him. Sorry, I lost something. Like, he can't ever catch him. And then we get one of those long, speedy Flash fights where he just keeps trying to catch him, lock up, learn about him, finally gets him beat, finds out about his backstory, how he was in that accident too, but was forgotten about. Only people wanted to find Barry to make sure he was fine. But I was there too. And then obviously, we could just have it like going out as Reverse Flash is handed off to the special militia that watches over the block. And then Flash takes off running. Next movie we have is Aquaman. Aquaman finally gets his own movie. Aquaman, the first one, with Jason Momoa, was such a big movie. I couldn't just go, I'm going to give you another Aquaman in the first beginning. That is why I waited till Justice League. Because that movie was so big, it takes a while. I'm going to take a while before he gets his own. And when he does, he's an older king that's watching over his kingdom. We see Black Manta as a kid ignored on a pirate ship by Aquaman, and then we see Black Manta is angry and tries to invade Atlantis. And Aquaman's able to drive him back. Black Manta kills Aquaman's able to the sun really get dark and gritty. You don't have to actually see the dead body or nothing, but it's just, you could kind of more imply it where people are like, oh, he did it. Oh. What? And then there's a huge final battle at the end, and there's a draw where they both are barely alive, and Black Manta barely gets away, and it kind of makes sure you see why Aquaman was so scared to come up and deal with Gorilla Grodd, because it's kind of said that this movie is before Justice League, like a year before, so he's still in the grieving phase of his infant son when they come and try to get him to take on Grodd. That's why he didn't want nothing to do with it. He just wanted to stay in his kingdom, forget all his problems, and hide. It kind of gives more things to that. Next movie, Man of Steel 3. This movie was very hard to write. Basically, it's Lex Luthor being a douche. And kind of Superman trying to stop all of his nefarious plans. You know, him hiring other people to do robberies and stuff, and Lex getting angry at Superman and them having little jabs at each other, going to LexCorp, and then Clark Kent goes to interview him. You know, you get like fun scenes. This is more like a fun movie. And then the final battle is just Lex in the giant robot suit, you know, with some kryptonite shenanigans. And Superman beats him and locks him up in the block. And then it kind of zooms out and you notice there's a lot of people in the block. Then the final movie of my universe is, I'm calling it Justice League Unlimited. I know that's a animated series, but I think it's fun. The story is, the heroes in the city. So we have, this is where we get the main six, plus Shazam and Cyborg are in this. I'm not trying to go huge. I'd say after this would be where I'd be like, hey, this is when we start throwing in the secondary characters. Start building your secondary characters right here. Once you've developed 2 Justice League movies, we've really got deep into this. Now let's build some of your secondary characters. Don't know if I like James Gunn doing it off the bat, but I get it. James Gunn is very successful and he knows what he's doing. Basically, right, they're all in their cities kind of stopping some crime. And then we see Lex Luthor organizing all the villains to escape from the block, and they do. In Batman, there's a scene early in the movie where Batman's talking about we should move, or Superman's saying you should move some of your villains, all your villains, to the block. And Batman says, no, I can keep better eye on them in Arkham. And Superman talking about the block is more secure. And Batman going, yes, but if one thing goes wrong, then all of those villains together are way more dangerous than if they're all separated in separate prisons. So they get that little argument, and they just kind of, it doesn't get resolved. And then obviously they break out. And Superman's kind of seeing the error of that and going, oh no. Then it's mostly just a giant war. It is all of the villains from all the movies that are still alive. So from the top, we have whoever the villain in Shazam was, if they're still alive. I haven't watched Shazam, genuinely. I'm sorry I haven't. But Solomon Grundy, Dr. Poison, Captain Cold, Gorilla Grodd, the Cheetah, Deathstroke, Reverse Flash, because Deathstroke gets put in there because he fought Cyborg, and they take him away. Reverse Flash, Black Manta is seen there. He shows up, which pisses off Aquaman. Lex Luthor. You could throw in just a few more fun villains for each of them, saying they had a few more in there. You could add in like a Poison Ivy from Batman. You could go from the Flash. You could just go find a few more villains from the catalogs of these people and throw them in there. But it's just the villains versus the heroes. It's not 1-to-1. The heroes are outnumbered, and Superman's happy to save face. And then it's just the war of the heroes versus the villains. In the end, the villains finally defeat them all, and Superman announces they're each taking them to their own mini block. Each city's developing their own little mini block, so you get like a white square in each city, and that's where your villains will be locked up. You could add Captain Boomerang. That's one from the Flash. Finally used Captain Boomerang correctly. Sorry, I just noticed my Valentine is not being seen. There she is. But that is how DRM would create a DC movie universe. So thank you guys all for watching. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Boopa, boopa, boopa.